On Christmas Eve, 1948, somewhere between Wiesbaden and Berlin, a 27-year-old American pilot named Hal Halvorsen wrapped his hands around the yoke of his C-54 cargo plane, which was packed with 20,000 pounds of flour. This is the real spirit of Christmas, he thought to himself, as he guided his plane toward Tempelhof Air Base in West Berlin. When World War II ended 3 years earlier, Germany and its capital city were divided between the Western Allies and the Soviet Union. Then, in a grab for power, Stalin blocked ground transportation into the city. So to preserve freedom and to keep 2.5 million West Berliners from starving, the United States and Great Britain began transporting food and other basic supplies by air. Hal was one of hundreds of Americans who participated in the historic Berlin airlift, which was called Operation Vittles. That snowy Christmas Eve, as Hal radioed for clearance to land, his mind wandered back to the day that changed his life. He had been sitting at the end of the Tempelhof runway when he noticed about 30 children on a grassy strip just behind a barbed wire fence. In broken English, they asked about the planes, how much flour each one carried, and whether the airlift would continue. Although the children had been on meager rations, they were more concerned with freedom than flour. They wanted what Hal had, the opportunity to pursue their dreams. So for almost an hour, Hal answered their questions before saying goodbye. But as he turned away, one question lingered in his mind. What made these kids different? All over the world, children were known to beg for candy from American servicemen. These children had little to eat and no candy at all, yet they were grateful for what the airlift had given them, and they asked for nothing in return. Their gratitude melted Hal's heart. Instinctively, he wanted to give something back. Digging into his pockets, he only found 2 sticks of gum. A broad smile crossed Hal's boyish face. Giving so little to so many could cause a squabble, he reasoned, but a quiet voice within him urged him on. Hal broke the gum into 4 pieces and passed it through the fence. Without a word, the 4 children tore the gum wrappers into strips and passed them to the others. One by one, each small nose was pressed to the paper, breathing the minty smell. Never had he seen such expressions of joy and wonder, even at Christmas. As Hal watched in amazement, his mind raced. If only I had more to give, he thought. He had his own rations of gum and chocolate. Maybe his buddies would be willing to donate theirs. Just then, another C-54 roared overhead, and an idea formed in his mind. I could drop candy from the air, he thought to himself. He quickly explained his plan to the children. When they asked how to recognize his plane, he remembered flying over the family farm back home. I'll wiggle my wings, he announced, spreading his long arms and waving them up and down. The children giggled with delight. Just promise me you'll share the candy, he said. All heads nodded in agreement. By the next day, Hal had secretly enlisted his crew to donate their rations and to make parachutes from handkerchiefs. As Hal's plane approached the runway and the grass came into view, he wiggled his wings, and a knot of waiting children exploded, running and jumping in the air. With the precision of bombardiers, the airmen pushed the candy out of the flare chute, and white canopies floated to earth. 30 children ran with open arms to catch the treasures. Hal and his buddies were as excited as the children. The thrill of giving was irresistible. Soon they were dropping parachutes every day, hundreds of them. The press caught on. Reports went out. Mail for Uncle Wiggly Wings began piling up at base operations. Operation Little Vittles quickly captured the imagination of people everywhere. Candy and handkerchiefs poured in from around the world. Hal became known as the Candy Bomber and the Chocolate Pilot. Across West Berlin, children gathered to catch the parachutes and share the candy with each other. Day by day, the parachutes brought peace, and the candy renewed hope. The children made friends with their former enemies, and their parents' hearts were softened. The wounds of war began to heal. The spirit of Christmas was descending on people everywhere, lifting them up in the joy of giving.